Before Kamala Harris became the Democratic nominee for president, Republicans really only had one attack on Joe Biden. And while I don't think it was a good attack, it seemed to be kind of working for them. And that was his age. They would talk about his age. They would lie about him being in cognitive decline. Of course, not true. And President Biden's age allowed him to be one of our greatest presidents ever, someone with expertise and experience, making the job much easier for him, where Donald Trump's age, as we'll talk about later in this segment, actually hurts him. As his brain doesn't just decline but dements, he becomes more dangerous and destructive. But now Joe Biden isn't in the race, and the Democratic nominee for president isn't 81, she is 59. Donald Trump has become the old man in this race, and it's blowing up in his face, especially with one post that is going mega viral of how this is all turned around on MAGA, how their attacks on President Biden have blown up in their face and completely been flipped on their head. And we are going to take a look at that mega viral post. But before we do, I want to play this great ad from the Lincoln Project that sums up how this race has changed.
For 3 years, we heard it every day, that Joe Biden and Donald Trump were the oldest candidates ever. Republicans made the excuse that Biden was 3 years older, and the media gave it a pass. Their breathless coverage of Biden's age, while ignoring Trump's decline, pretended Trump wasn't slurring his speech.
We want a landslide that's
confusing people,
including Obama. I'll tell you what.
telling weird, wandering stories.
By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. The late great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Now, there's no excuse. There's only one person in this race now with mental problems. One person with memory problems. One person feeling the icy hand of death from old age creeping closer. One person who knows the clock is running out. And that's old Donald Trump. Weak, impotent, forgetful, mentally declining, fast. He'd be 83 by the end of his term. If he's senile now, he'll be dangerous by then.
As Trump gets older, he does not get more experienced. He only gets more in cognitive decline. His brain only dements more, and medical professionals are saying just that. Donald Trump is only getting more dangerous. But like I said, that wasn't a talking point before. Before Kamala Harris was the Democratic nominee, the only age conversation being had was about President Biden. And MAGA was pushing that as much as they possibly could. In fact, they were making merch off of it. Shirts like this, "Don't Let the Old Man Win," had been purchased far and wide by the MAGA cult and were being worn around as an attack on President Biden, saying, he's too old, he's too old. But funny enough, those shirts now have a different meaning. Joe Biden isn't in the race. The only old man who we can't let win is Donald Trump. So now MAGA is walking around with a billboard on their chest going against their own candidate. And most of them haven't realized, but someone actually did and left a review of the shirt talking about how upset that they are that they're now mocking Donald Trump with his own merch. Let's look at it. "I bought this shirt for Joe Biden, but now that he isn't running, it looks like I'm making fun of Trump. I can't wear this in front of my friends now. Amazon won't refund me even though they removed Biden in a coup. Waste of $16.99. This is just absolutely hilarious to me. MAGA with their red hats and their Trump flags and all their bumper stickers and whatever, the merch is now turned around on them. This is the hypocrisy of MAGA that's getting flipped on its head right now. They have been attacking President Biden for the longest time for his age, but now that is the issue of Donald Trump and they're running away from it. They're wearing it on their chest while they're trying to run away from the issue. For the longest time, they've tried to attack President Biden for a giant surge in crime that doesn't actually exist. Crime is at a 50-year low because of President Biden, but at the same time making that case, they were nominating a convicted felon to be the leader of their party's nominee for president. They are trying to attack Kamala Harris now for her failures at the border, which was never her job, but the real failure at the border was Donald Trump blowing up the bipartisan border deal. So everything is getting flipped on MAGA right now, especially this one specific issue, which really does resonate with voters. Voters are worried about the age of a president being able to affect their ability to govern. And of course, in my opinion, it did not affect President Biden. It actually served him very well, his age and experience, but that is not the case with Donald Trump. And as we've talked about on this show before, medical professionals, professors, psychologists, psychiatrists, they are coming out and saying that Donald Trump's brain isn't just in decline. It certainly is. It's not just the slurring of words and memory loss and him saying unhinged things about Hannibal Lecter and sharks. It's that his brain is actually, at this point, it's declining. And someone who's talked about that a lot and in detail, and in important detail, is psychiatrist John Gartner, who helped found Duty to Warn. And what he said in The Hill is incredibly important, so we're going to take a look at it. In an interview, Gartner was asked whether he perceived any differences between the cognitive ability of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Absolutely, he replied. It's like comparing apples and rotten oranges. It's not just a case of two old men roughly the same age, both showing signs of diminishing sharpness of the mind, Gartner stressed. There's a huge difference between the two, he said. He could have not put it more clearly. Biden is aging, Trump is dementing. Biden is aging, Trump is dementing. But Biden is no longer in the picture in this race. So all that we see is not a comparison of old but scary old. It's old and young, scary old and young. That's what we see in this race now. And as we've talked about on this show before, it's not only that Donald Trump is old and his brain is dementing in dangerous and frankly scary ways, it's that his ideas are old. Project 2025 isn't about 2025. It's about going back to 1925. It's about stripping fundamental freedoms and civil liberties that we have fought so hard, so tirelessly for. Donald Trump is trying to push us back to a time of divisiveness and division and danger in this country, frankly. And that was his presidency. Chaos and controversy constantly plaguing our minds and the country in a way that made it difficult for us to walk around every day without feeling unsafe and scared for what Donald Trump could do at any second. And that's not what we have with Joe Biden. With Joe Biden, we have a historic president, a historic administration that Kamala Harris has been a part of building. And it's not that she just has a tremendous record as vice president. Sure, she's had historic successes, and that should make her an incredible candidate. But it's not just that. It's not just what she has done. It's about what she will do if she's elected president. She is focused on the future. She is forward focused, and she's making that case of protecting our future, protecting our freedoms, and building on them, securing them every single day on the campaign trail. And this clip from Kamala Harris is a great example of that. So let's check it out.
Today, we face a choice between two very different visions for our nation. One focused on the future, and the other focused on the past. And we are fighting for the future. And in our vision of the future, we see a place where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. A future where no child has to grow up in poverty, where every senior can retire with dignity, and where every worker has the freedom to join a union. We see a future with affordable health care, affordable child care, and paid leave, not for some, but for all. We see a future where every student has the support and the resources they need to thrive, and a future where no teacher has to struggle with the burden of student loan debt. So as an example, our administration has forgiven student loan debt for nearly 5 million Americans, and twice as much for our public servants, including our teachers.
I don't know about you, but that's the candidate that I want. That is the candidate that I want, the candidate who is focused on the future, the candidate who is focused on further investing in infrastructure, battling climate change, lowering prescription drug prices. The line that I love in that speech is not just the freedom to get by, but the freedom to get ahead. That's what we want. Isn't that what we're fighting for? Isn't that why we're doing the work? Isn't that why people get into public service? Not just the freedom to get by, but the freedom to get ahead. We can build, we can grow, we can become a more perfect union when we're focused on the future that we can enjoy together in a better way. But that's not what Donald Trump promises. Donald Trump promises the past. And haven't we already seen that? Don't we know his record? A mismanaged COVID pandemic, divisiveness and division, anger every day, giant tax cuts for the rich, stripping women of their reproductive freedoms. We know Donald Trump's record. We know what the past looks like. Don't we want to move forward? Don't we want to move forward with Kamala Harris? I know I do. And I know the young people around me do. Gen Z right now, the enthusiasm for Kamala Harris is so exciting. My friends, my peers, they cannot wait to turn out for her in November because we know with Kamala Harris, there is a better future going forward. With Donald Trump, that's not the case. So we are not going back, as Kamala Harris likes to say, we are going forward. And I am excited to be in that fight with y'all. And if you want to join the movement that we're building on this channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. You leave a like on this video. It really helps build the community here doing both of those things. And if you are a new subscriber, I'd like to thank you personally because it means so much to me. So let me know in the comments. In just 2 weeks of this new channel, we have blown past 65,000 subscribers because of y'all. That is amazing. We are building a community here that I am so incredibly proud of, and I am so incredibly proud to be a part of it with you. So until next time, I will see you soon.